All right, now to our next conversation that also impacts Africa. At this point, we see Africa's digital economy that's surging, now valued at approximately $180 billion and projected to exceed $300 billion by 2030. A transformation driven by booming mobile penetration, fintech innovation, and supportive policy frameworks and governments and multilateral institutions that are taking action at this point. Well, the African Union's Malabo Convention, in force since June 2023, lays the continental foundation for cybersecurity and data protection, reflecting a shift from fragmented rules to harmonized governance. Join
Africa, a continent often described as rich in resources but poor in opportunity, is rewriting its story. This time, the engine of change isn't gold, oil, or diamonds, it's technology. And now, the world's biggest investors, from sovereign wealth funds to venture capital titans, are taking notice. In an unprecedented development, Africa's sovereign investment platform has drawn $225 billion in investment interest. That's not just a statistic. It's a signal that Africa has become the next global tech frontier. In mid-2025, reports from Africa 50 and the African Development Bank confirmed a surge in global capital interest, over $225 billion in commitments and pledges targeting Africa's digital infrastructure, green energy, and industrial tech sectors. This is not charity. This is strategic capital, and it's coming fast. From Qatar and the UAE to Singapore and the United States, global investors are repositioning themselves for the next great industrial leap. Why? Because Africa represents the world's last major frontier market to 1.4 billion people, half under the age of 25, and a mobile-first, innovation-driven economy that's leapfrogging legacy systems. Across the continent, digital cities are emerging, places where innovation and entrepreneurship converge. In Lagos, Nigeria, a new wave of AI startups is tackling problems from logistics to language models tailored to African dialects. In Nairobi, Kenya's Silicon Savannah is buzzing with fintech innovation. Startups like Flutterwave, Chipper Cash, and M-Pesa are redefining digital finance for 1 billion users. In Kigali, Rwanda, a city once known for its tragic past, now stands as one of Africa's cleanest and most connected cities, with 5G networks, drone ports, and tech incubators powering a vision of digital governance. And in Accra, Ghana's push toward renewable energy-powered manufacturing is turning it into a hub for green industrial production. These are not isolated cases, they are signals of a larger trend. One where Africa isn't waiting for permission to innovate. According to the African Development Bank, the continent's digital economy is projected to reach $712 billion by 2050, growing nearly sixfold from 2022 levels. Mobile broadband coverage has reached 83%, and internet access is expected to exceed 65% of the population within the decade. But behind every statistic lies a story of youth entrepreneurship, policy reform, and global collaboration. Initiatives like Smart Africa, Africa 50 Infrastructure Fund, and Digital Economy Moonshot are mobilizing billions toward connectivity, data centers, and fintech ecosystems. And with $225 billion in investment interest, Africa is no longer asking for help, it's offering returns. Let's look at the money trail. Global investors have realized something profound, that growth in Africa is no longer a risk, it's an opportunity. The Qatar Investment Authority has increased its African holdings by over 40% in the past 2 years, targeting clean tech and logistics. China's Belt and Road to Point Zero initiative has shifted from ports and railways to digital infrastructure, funding data centers and cloud networks. Meanwhile, U.S. venture funds, long focused on Silicon Valley, are now investing in Africa's AI and blockchain startups. Google, Microsoft, and Amazon have each launched African cloud regions and developer programs. Even Europe, once hesitant, is pivoting, with France and Germany co-funding digital literacy programs and fintech regulatory frameworks. It's not just investment, it's a global race for digital influence. What's driving this digital gold rush? 3 words: connectivity, capital, and creativity. Connectivity. Africa's new fiber networks and satellite constellations are bringing high-speed internet to even the most remote regions. Capital. With sovereign wealth funds and international development banks pumping billions into infrastructure, financing barriers are falling fast. Creativity. The continent's young innovators are solving Africa's problems, and in doing so, they're creating solutions for the world. From solar-powered internet kiosks in Malawi to blockchain-based land registries in Kenya, African entrepreneurs are showing that necessity truly is the mother of invention. But this story ain't without obstacles. Power shortages, political instability, and inconsistent regulatory frameworks still threaten progress. Some regions still face limited access to credit and technology infrastructure. However, analysts point out that Africa's approach is uniquely resilient because it's building its digital infrastructure from scratch. It's not burdened by outdated legacy systems. In short, Africa can leapfrog. As one analyst from McKinsey put it, Africa has the rare opportunity to build the future without dismantling the past. Perhaps the most symbolic shift is in digital finance. M-Pesa, born in Kenya, now powers transactions worth over $300 billion annually. Nigeria's fintech startups have raised billions in funding, leading Africa to become the second fastest growing region for fintech globally. After Southeast Asia, this digital sovereignty, controlling the flow of money and data, marks Africa's most profound power shift since independence. The $225 billion investment wave represents more than capital. It's a vote of confidence in Africa's ability to lead, not follow. Behind every investment figure are millions of lives changing. Electricity in homes that never had it. Farmers using mobile apps to predict rainfall. Students learning coding through solar-powered classrooms. Entrepreneurs exporting AI tools in local languages. Africa's digital revolution isn't just transforming economies, it's transforming people. As one Kenyan engineer put it during a recent tech summit, we don't want to be the next Silicon Valley. We want to be the first digital Africa. Technology has also become a unifying force. Through initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfCFTA), digital platforms are connecting over 1.3 billion consumers across 54 nations. This new digital common market could increase intra-African trade by over 50%, according to the World Bank. When you combine that with massive capital inflows, Africa's trajectory becomes clear: a connected, digitized, economically sovereign continent. Africa is no longer the next frontier, it is the frontier. The $225 billion investment wave isn't the end of the story. It is the beginning of a digital era that will define the next century. For the first time in history, Africa holds the power to shape its destiny, not through aid or extraction, but through innovation, investment, and inclusion. And as one Ghanaian economist said at the recent Africa Tech Forum, if the 20th century belonged to oil, the 21st belongs to data, and Africa owns the sunlight that powers both. As the lights of new data centers flicker across Lagos, Kigali, and Nairobi, one thing becomes clear: Africa isn't waiting for permission to lead the future. It's already doing it. This is Africa's next tech frontier. The world is watching. And this time, Africa is the one setting the pace.